So I have started my planting of all the berries. You can see where I'm working here. Let's start off at the beginning. I have slightly altered my plans, which I probably will do this whole time as I go. But starting over here, we've got salal, and I might be mispronouncing a lot of these, so forgive me, S-A-L-A-L. But there's two of those. There's one there and one there. And those do like the shade, and they also like acidic soil. So right under a pine tree, casting some dappled shade. Usually, right now it's not quite summer yet, so the sun isn't as high up as usual. In the summer it will be more shady. And then we've got here some currants. So I've got one currant there, one currant here, and one currant here. Currants also like the shade, so they are fairly close to these two trees here, and that should be a good spot for them. Then I've got some gooseberries. I've got one gooseberry, two gooseberries, and three gooseberries. And all of them can also tolerate shade. I don't think they like it quite as much as the currants and the others, but they do like some shade and they don't like full sun. And so this should be a good spot for them. After that, the others I might mispronounce are the Gaumi berries. It's Goumi. I have no clue on that. I'm saying Gaumi. So we've got one there and one there. Those get a little bigger than the rest of the bushes. They also do well in shade apparently as well. So those should be very good where they are there. And then coming out, we're getting more into a more sunny spot. And that's where I've got 3 honeyberries that I'm about to plant. So I went ahead and started documenting now before I got everything in the ground to show you kind of roughly what I'm doing. What I'm doing is the grass is fairly short, so I didn't have to mow it at all. And I'm taking a broad fork. So here's an example of one that I just did. And I'm hitting it from a few angles with the broad fork where it just stabs in. And then I bring it down, and you can see how that lifts up the soil there, breaks it up. And that's about it. And if you've never seen a broad fork before, that's roughly what it looks like with blades. And you just stab it in, pull it down. Pretty simple, works very well. And so I'm doing that to break up the area where I'm digging. And then as you can tell, these plants are either in pretty small containers here, or most of them were bare root. So I don't really need a big hole, but using the broad fork really breaks up the whole area, which I think will be good for the roots so that they have a nice place to spread and to thrive. So that's the plan. What I'm doing is the broad fork's there, and then I'm coming over here. That's my wood chip pile. This is my mix of dirt, topsoil, with some mushroom compost mix in. And so I'm getting a scoop of that, and I'm dumping that nearby. And then I'm also coming over here where I've got some of our compost that I got out of our compost bin. And I'm getting a scoop of compost as well. And so I'll take that and dump that in the same spot. And then as I plant, I am kind of amending the soil and mixing that in with the soil that I put back in the hole as I plant them. So that'll give them some extra nutrients going on there. And then I'll water them all in as well. So that's the plan for this section of berries here. We'll have the honeyberries, the gaumies, the gooseberries, the currants, the salal. And then the next step will be to do the blueberries. And so the berries that I currently have, we've got a row right here. Then what I'll do is I'll do a walking path area, leave enough room for a walking path. Then I'll do a row of blueberries, and I'll probably again stagger them like I was planning. I think that still will work well. And then I'll make sure there's enough room over here to maybe run a push mower or do a walking path, whatever I want to do there. And so those berries, those blueberries, will come all the way down here, all the way in front of what I'm working on now, and stop shy of the honeyberries again, so I can leave a path that'll go beside the honeyberries and all the way around for picking, for maintenance, for everything else. And the blueberries will stop here. If I have more blueberries, which I actually think I will, they're going after this. So I still have 2 Josta berries that are on the way that I had to order from someone else. And so those will be staggered kind of like the honeyberries, just after them though. And so when those come in, they'll be here. And then I'm planning on maybe extending that row of berries out. And that's where I would do the extra blueberries that I probably have access to. And so that's the plan for that. Then in this big space in between the garden bed and where this berry line will go, where currently I have mulch and dirt, this will be 2 trellises. And I've added it up, and I think 2 would be good. So I'll probably do a trellis line here, and then enough room for walking path again, and another trellis here. And they'll go all the way down, and I've got 15 raspberries and 2 tayberries and 3 boysenberries coming in. And so what I'll probably do is stagger those on either side of the trellis. And again, for a trellis, what I'm doing here is doing a fence, and I'll just run a fence very similar to what I have here. And that way it all blends together, matches together, looks halfway decent at least. And that works really well for things to grow on because they've got some big wide openings that they can work their way through. And it's very sturdy and fairly tall, so that should work well. I have some extra, might actually be shorter than this, I'm really not sure. But I've got some extra in the back, and that way I don't have to buy anything either, so that's nice. And so that will go here. So that is the end of this little section that I'm doing here. I'll finish up planting my berries. My honeyberries are the last ones I have left here. And then next I'll probably work on, if you can see way up there by the tree, there's a little tarp at the bottom. Those are some small trees that I have to plant, and that should be the next step, is planting those at the bottom of the orchard over here. And that should be the next project for me that I'll probably do here in about an hour or two once I get these done.